Yo, it's Guido coming at you with a Tactics Talk. Welcome back. I've got a new replay here from SirDarklight. SirDarklight is in his T-32. And his T-32, let's see here. Where is it? T-32, no clan, Tier 8 American Heavy Tank. So this video will only be for SirDarklight, unless he gives me permission to go ahead and post it. I think there's some really good learning opportunities on this game, especially for newer players or players who might be struggling with the game. So I'm going to ask SirDarklight. If you don't see this video, you'll never know what I'm saying. But if I only show it to SirDarklight, that will be fine. SirDarklight, for you, I know you said you just wanted some feedback. I'm actually going to do a video on it because I can kind of show you much better and talk about it as we go. And if you don't want this to go out to everybody, I don't care. No problem. I'll just set this up that you can see it, and we'll go on. But if it does see the light of day, then we'll talk about it. Now, one thing I do when I get a new customer, I guess, if you will, or a new person sending in a replay that I haven't talked to or seen yet, I look at their overall stats, and it has nothing to do with stat shaming or any of that BS. I just want to get a general idea of how that person is progressing so far. Where is he in World of Tanks? So I'll look at recents, I'll look at overalls, kind of look at what he or she is playing, how they're doing, and that kind of thing. And SirDarklight, we're going to talk about a couple things for you that I think you really need to concentrate on. So, pretty low win rate. I would say below average, which is probably part of the reason you're asking for some help is maybe struggling with that, and it is low. So I'm just going to leave it at that. Clearly, the good news here is lots of room to improve. And you've got a lot of experience. So now we need to start leveraging the right experience into your gameplay to increase that win rate and get yourself to 50. And I would make as your goal right now 50% recents. And so we're gonna set some goals for you right off the bat. 50% recents, all right? And we'll talk about how to get there. It's one thing to say, hey, get this stat to X. It's another one to actually have some concrete skills and tools to make that thing happen. The next thing you need to work on is your damage ratio and your destruction ratio, which should both be around 1. All right, so with a 0.64 damage ratio, that means that you are taking well more damage than you make, or that you do. So a couple goals right there is to whatever tank you're playing, do its damage in hit points as an average. More is better, but for you, let's set it at 1 to 1. Okay, so if you're in a T-32 of 1,550 hit points, aim to get 1,550 hit points of damage a game. Now that gets into damage farming a little bit, and that's fine for your level. What I want you to concentrate on is, all right, whatever's going on in the game, let's see if I can get myself to 1,550. We're going to talk about how to try to manufacture wins, but in some cases you just have to fall back and try to farm a little bit just to get that damage up. And the reason I say that is the more damage you're doing, the longer you're living in the battle, the more experience you're getting at the end of the battle. Because that brings me to your survival rate, which is abysmal at, I want to say it was 20-something%. Somewhere in there, 20%. What happens a lot of times with people with poor win rates and low survival rates is they have a lot of experience in early game, and they have very little experience at late game, and things change late game. That you play the game a little differently late game than you do early game, middle game. Those are there's three specific phases really in the game. And because you never get to the late game, you don't see it, so you don't learn. And so the late game is where the hard carries happen, especially on the closer games. That's not a raffle stomp where you're just rolling with the wave and loving life and killing everything. Late game is where your decisions, and it's the decision from the moment you leave cap, but your late game decisions are super important late game because you're usually low hit points. You may be outnumbered. There's a lot of reasons why. Less tanks on the board, so there's more movement and maneuver and freedom to get around. So what you do late game is hugely important to manufacturing wins that may have been losses or just to ensure wins. Now, if you're never there late game, you never get the experience and you're not part of the equation right there. So destruction ratio should be about 1. If you think about it logically, and I'm just going to give you an overall kind of big thing to think about, but if every one of your 15 tanks killed one tank, you'd kill the entire other team, right? If everyone got 1 kill, and you did that before the other team did it, you would win. Now, there's a lot of other vagaries, whatever. A lot of other things to think about in there. Hit point pool, is it a light, is it a TD, heavies versus mediums. There's a lot of other things. But if you just look at it and go, you know what, if our 15 tanks killed 15, one each, of the enemy tanks, then we'd win. So look for that destruction ratio of 1 per game. All right, so those are a couple things that I want you to concentrate. And the last thing I will say that is very telling is your capture points are 38,000 and your defense points are 12,000. I want you to concentrate on getting more defense points than capture points without being a cap camper. All right, now again, all of these suggestions of goals are not taken in a vacuum. It's not, all right, today I'm going to work on getting more base defense points. So all you're going to do is hang out by the cap and try to shoot people who are capping. That's not what I'm saying. But in the case of capping points and base defense points, what that tells me in general is that you go on a flank, and if you win that flank, you drive to the enemy cap. And you've got to start paying more attention to the actual battle flow and what's going on around you. So I'm going to give you an almost hard and fast rule that I want you to use from now until you're a 55% player. If you win your flank, go back to cap if it's threatened, or go to the other flank if your cap's not threatened and help them. If your team wins all flanks, keep pushing by all means. Go crazy, have fun, raffle stomp time. Okay, clean up on aisle 2, shoot everything you can find. However, most games, one flank or the other is going to be won. And if you're on the winning flank, go back to cap. And if your cap's not threatened, go to the other flank. Or at least start coming across the map to work the middle to the other flank. Okay? Pushing cap is one of the worst things you can do in a game if your other flank has fallen or is losing or your cap is threatened. That does not win games. That loses games. It really and truly does. We can talk about later on, once you start getting a little better, we can get into the more nuanced ideas of when you might want to try to fast cap and sneak a cap when out. But those are the exceptions and not the rule. So I want you to do that. Concentrate on that. All right. So let's get going on this one because there's a lot of good stuff going on here. We are in our T-32, Tier 8 American heavy tank. And the map is something I can never remember. Cliff. Spawned in the south, he's headed to the north. All right, this is a good idea. This tank has great gun depression. So we're talking now about initial positioning decisions. And I liked where you were going because this tank can fight up here, especially on this middle hill, very well with a very strong turret. So you're going to come on up here, and we're going to see a guy going, and then we're going to stop and shoot. All right. Positioning. What are you... I'm going to ask you this multiple times. What's the plan? What's the plan? Drive till I see a red guy and shoot? Okay, well, that's a very basic plan. It looks to me like you want to get up to this spot, and at about 30,000 battles, I think you kind of understand some of the spots. That guy, you knew there was going to be someone there. You knew that was probably one of your first shots. I could see you were pointing at it. But instead of stopping, just fire and keep moving. Fire and keep moving. Because the stop didn't really get you anything. It slowed you down from getting to your initial position. It didn't really give you that much more accuracy. So a fully opened bloom and a very slightly closed bloom, if you were still moving when you shot at that guy, wouldn't really matter. And then keep trucking, because what you want to do now is you are attempting to get to your position, and that little stop slowed that down. The more you're moving, the less the artillery is going to hit you. This is a dangerous way to go because the 432 did spot you, and now there's 2 artillery on the enemy, and they like to zoom in this area. So it looks like you're going to kind of tuck up here, and then I got to show you what you're doing with your camera right there. Sorry about that. And so we spent some time going, oh man, that 432 went up there. I'm going to look for this guy. He's got to be up here. All right, so again, I'm asking you, what's the plan? Just going to hang out here for this one guy who's already taken the hill? And oh, by the way, as you are that far away from him, based on the geometry, he doesn't really have to poke very far to see you. If you tuck up underneath, he can't hurt you. That 432 can't do anything to you while you're tucked up right about where that 50 TP was. So I would have absolutely kept on trucking in here. Because what you want to do is get up here where that STA2 is and start punishing that guy. That's a Tier 8 medium. You've got great gun depression. You can sneak around through these bushes and shoot. And now you want to go take a peek. Now, I see you using these rocks right here, but I wouldn't have done it that way. I would have approached from over here and used the gun depression to kind of sneak out. I want to see over here. Let me see. I want to see back this way if there's a guy back over here. I know there's dudes here, but sneaking up along here will get me proxy lit by those guys, and then anyone out here, TDs in this little hill, will know I'm going to poke. I want to go over here and take a little looky-loo through those bushes and see if I can't see somebody being silly out in the open. and get a shot while I'm still back in this area and I'm really holed down. Only as little of my turret is popping up over this little ridge and looking out this way as possible. And I don't want to get proxy lit if I can avoid it by guys hanging out on the back edge here. If I go up against these rocks right here, then I'm just letting them know where I am. See? And I'm with it. And then, again, I'm asking, all right, what's the plan here? Here's another thing. I want you to watch what your turret's doing as you move your camera around. Yeah, move my camera, my turret's following. All right, left mouse button shoots. What's the right mouse button do if you hold down? And if you don't know that, I'll tell you. What it does is it locks your turret forward. All right, so if you're sitting there and I go click right mouse button, I can move my camera and I can maneuver my tank, but my turret stays pointing that way. Because that's where the nearest threat is. They might come boiling up and over this, but that would take them a while and you would see it. You may get somebody taking a little, hello, how's your father, coming right through this bush right here, and you want your turret pointed at them for two reasons. Number one, you want to react fast and shoot them. Number two, you don't want the side of your turret looking at them. Because if I came around that corner and I saw that T-32's turret looking up the hill or looking behind him or something, I'm going to give him a shot right in the side of that turret, like right there. And that's exactly what I'm talking about. Somebody comes around that corner right now, they're shooting you right in that turret. And you might go, well, that's not a big deal, no one's there. Every little hit point, every opportunity you give the enemy is one you don't want to give them, right? Even though nobody showed up there, somebody could have. And the technique that is the best practice, or the best way to do it, is to keep that turret locked forward to where the enemy is, in case somebody shows up. See, as you're looking around, I can tell. When you look around, you don't lock. Your turret's just wandering all over the place. I will tell you, when I am playing the peekaboo game with people on street corners and places where I actually can see them, I see somebody who does that. When they move back and their turret starts swinging back, I'll pop out right then and let them have a shot. And that's going to make their return fire much more difficult. Because first they've got to get their turret on me. Additionally, their bloom's higher because they haven't kept the turret towards me. And I'm getting nice, fat, soft side turret on them. So lots of reason not to. Now I'm going to ask you another question. What's the plan? What are we doing here? Let's take a look at the map for just a minute. Your initial position, I thought the place you went was a good place for your tank. So I think you understand that idea. I wasn't too excited about how you approached it. I think that could have been better. We already debriefed to that piece. How you were working that edge, I thought could have been a little bit better as well, and we talked to that. But now that we're here and we're looking at the battle unfold, what's going on? So I want you to take a look at this and go, okay, what's happening with my team? Holy macaroni. The east is a big problem. I only have about 3 or 4 tanks over there. I have a ton of campers. This is a 357, so where did my big kids go? Looks like my 110E3, and I've already lost a tier 10. He died over there, so they're all over there. But where are their tier 10s? Looks like 2 of them at least are over on the right side over there. And it might even be 3. If I count noses, 1, 2, 3. I'm going from left to right. I'm starting with the ICU. 1, 2, 3. Standard B, 4, LT, 5. He's up on the hill. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 2 artillery. 11, 12. 1 dead guy. 13. There's only 2 guys unaccounted for. There's only 2 guys unaccounted for. All right? And one of them's the Uds. Oh, wow, look, the Uds is actually spotted. So TD-wise, looks like the ISU's over there. The big heavy guy is down below. So there's actually probably not very many people way in that back there. And I could start working on this corner and looking around. All right, so this brings us to the next thing. So I think staying where you are is not a bad idea, but we need to get a little more aggressive now because we need to take some of the heat off, especially of the east side. So if I can be a threat over here a little bit and get working on the standard B, maybe use my turret, find out where that guy is, then that'd be good. And then so we spent a bunch of time trying to crawl over a rock. All right, the rocks are slippery. They're done that way. The physics on it are a little weird because they try to dissuade people from doing so much climbing. So when you're going up a hill like this, especially in a heavy that doesn't have a whole lot of oomph going up hills, trying to climb up the rocky part is always going to be a problem. And that costs you a good, I don't know, 20, 25 seconds. And again, you might go, all right, well, Guido, whatever, I got stuck on a rock, who cares? It all adds together from the very moment you left cap to your delay to try to get up there to the way you kind of worked the area right there with the bush and not really finding anybody to shoot. And we're at minute 11 and we've, I think, taken 1 shot. We took a snap kind of at the 432. Your gun has been silent. It's been other than your presence, all right? Other than a little bit of influence by presence in the middle. You've at least kept the standard B, and if he has a friend there, from just blasting through the middle and shooting each other, and that's important. But other than that, those things, you've done nothing. And I don't mean that to be be mean about it or anything, but that's just a fact. So we find the standard B, we get lit, and I was sort of surprised that you're going to go ahead and head up this hill, but if you assess that it's pretty likely there's nobody down there, that's good. And there you go, some spotting damage. That's all right. You got him lit, you got hit, and now you go ahead and truck on up here. And it looks like you waited till you were dark, and if you did that consciously, that was great. Good idea. That's going to make it less likely that you get hit. And then I'm pretty surprised you got up here, but why can you get up the middle? Hopefully, I think you probably assessed it. The reason is there's just really nobody contesting that middle part. And the fact that you got up the hill is pretty crazy. It will happen mid to late game in games like this where there's just really nothing going on in the middle and one team has a tank or two there, and all of a sudden you can now retake the hill. So we're going to come on up here. I like that you went to the right of that. That was a good idea. The approach is going to surprise this guy, and I just shot him right there as I came over. Just kind of took a while to get your shot off. Not really sure why you were delaying on that. And you get a shot on him there. The defender shoots you from down below, which blew my mind, but I think he's kind of on the ramp. And now we're pushing this dude, and he gets hit. And we kill him off. So a little double tap with some friends, you're able to knock this guy down. All right, so fantastic. Love it. Got rid of that guy. That was good. What's going on? Well, the standard B is in the middle, so that could be a bit of an issue for your team. If he breaks through, he can start getting on people's side, so I'd keep an eye on him. You see a near-dead T-32 there. He's probably target number 1 for you with your Great Depression. You might be able to get a pretty easy shot on that guy and take him down. You got the T-10, but you've also got this stack of losers over here, and holy cow, look at the shots you got on these guys. And you got a fantastic turret for poking over through that rubble right there and starting to kill guys. But let's watch what happens here, because the first thing I think you see based on the direction your turret's going is your T-32 buddy. So you're, okay, fine, you're going to go kill the T-32. He's exposed to your shot. Fantastic, well done. And now you kind of look at this T-10. The T-10's behind a rock. Well, what's going on over here still? Look at this. The T-10 is largely out of the game, other than some long-range shots into these guys if these guys are unwise. What you need to do is not worry about him behind a rock, but come over here where you're protected from him for a bit and start killing these dudes off. Especially that defender. Let's work that defender down. What does that do? That allows your other guys to move forward and start to envelop the T-32 right there. But what we're going to do is we're going to futz around with this T-10. We're going to come up over here, and we're going to use this guy's armor, and that's a good idea. Tactically, that's a decent maneuver around. We're going to kind of look at... Holy cow, we take a hit, and then we back up. It's all right, T-10. Dang it. And that's another point where I would reassess. What's the plan? Well, that didn't work for me, right? I came up and over. He's got that angle. He's really only showing me a lot of turret. It's kind of a hard shot, and he just blapped me with heat from all the way down there. Why go threaten that guy again and maybe get hit again when I could be tearing that defender up? And there's the artillery. Another problem with being right there. And we fall off the edge, and we're staring. We got fully zoom. Okay, the T-10 got hit. There's a little more spotting damage. Fantastic. And then we sort of ignore that guy, and we still have this fight over here on all these juicy targets. Look at these guys, especially that defender. You could be tearing that guy up. Then we got a standard B over there. And then we say, oh, the standard B. All right, cool. And we come up over here, but we completely blow off this T-10, who was, if he was paying attention or could, and he may have been busy taking these guys on, would have had a very easy shot into your side right here. We kind of look at this dude. Oh, there he goes. All right, what's happening? Very slow decision making. All right, let's go down here. Yep, I'm going to head this way because that's the direction away from the bad guys. The fight was all over here, brother. The defender's still there. I really think if you'd have turned your attention to that defender, you'd have broken down that defense much faster. You'd have had more shots, more hit points. Because really, at the end of the day, you want to generate your own shots if you can, vice letting your team generate shots. Your movement and positioning was pretty good as far as giving yourself the opportunity to do that, but to a large extent, you ignored a lot of the opportunities. So that's kind of a lot to take in right there, and I think you have some good things to grow on. I think you have a good understanding. This is a one-off. I've only seen you play one map, but you kind of went right where I would have gone myself, where I would have sort of expected somebody in that tank to go for that match. You reacted, it looked like, to your local situation decently, although your micro positioning within that position wasn't ideal, and we've talked about that already. And then you saw the opportunity to get up the hill and clear off the scout. That was great. Nice kill on that guy. And then just some, I think, misprioritization of who you can hit and who you needed to take on. You really needed to break down that defender and that defense over there. Once you got rid of them, then see what happens is you get rid of the defender and his other buddy, the T-32, or as you take down the defender, your teammates there are able to jump all over the T-32, and that now creates crossfires on the T-10. You got the guys down below are able to take them on. They move forward a little bit. You're able to take them from the top, shots down from the top, and that's how you dig people out of spots by creating crossfires that they can't possibly protect from all directions. You were just picking up the guy at the back in a low percentage shot in a low percentage game play, whereas you could have easily started working on the defender. The other thing is, if the defender starts having to defend against you or look at you, now his turrets turn towards you and he's not shooting them, which gives them opportunities to move up. All right, so you've created a crossfire in the defender itself. And those all play in with each other. So, hey, let me know. I'll send you the link to this. It's going to be set up. It's not private. It's confidential or something. I can't remember what it's called. But anyway, I'll send you the link. You'll be able to see it. And if you would let me know, send back a note to me, and I'll put this in the text as well. Let me know if it's okay for me to put this out for the general public. I will do so, and it will be a tactics talk. But I think it's really useful to a lot of players who are kind of in your position. One thing you're going to have to look out for is you have a lot of battles, and so you're going to have a bit of difficulty, I think, changing some of the things you're doing. You're going to have to think about it, as opposed to a brand new player who may be able to internalize that a little bit faster. So just watch out for that. Thanks for tuning in, and we will see ya.